Hello friends, presently we are dealing with Rabindranath Tagore's famous poem, This Dog. The detailed introduction of the poet, Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, and the introduction in brief that of the present poem, This Dog, is already completed. Now I am supposed to deal with the text of the poem so that you will understand the subject matter of the poem and the thematic concerns of the poem. But before I begin with the text of the poem, I would like to talk in general about a domesticated animal called a dog. It was originally believed that the first domesticated pet animal, especially a wolf, appeared around 15,000 years ago in the Middle East. And a few research in this respect tells us that the canine domestication might have taken place first before 27,000 to 40,000 years. And if you follow the modern day genetic study in this respect, it is concluded that the domesticated pet dogs originated in China, the Middle East, and the Eastern Europe. The question is, what was the first dog on the earth? Actually, to answer this question, we need to go back to the pages of the history and we need to study the human existence in anthropology, and we need to refer to a few archaeological records and genetic analysis in this respect. The anthropological, archaeological, and genetic analysis show that the remains of the Bon Oberkassel, it was a kind of dog which was found to be buried beside the human body before 14,000 years. So now you can understand how these things are revealed in the course of time. And the evidences also show that the first undisputed dog with disputed remains occurring around 36,000 years ago. As far as the origin of dogs, if at all you get into the details, genetic details of this thing, you will find that it has a concern with Europe and Asia both. The genetical study of dogs suggests us that the dogs evolved from wolves somewhere around 19,000 years and 32,000 years ago in Europe. But the genome of living dogs show that the split took place in Asia around 1,000 years earlier. Then coming down to the point, the general question that arises in the mind of a common man is that how did this animal become a pet animal or domesticated dog? Again, you need to go back to the Ice Age. Hunter-gatherers may have shared surplus with wolves, and in the course of a long time, the wolves became the pets of the human beings. The timing and the causes of the domestication of dogs are both uncertain. But there are a few genetic evidences in this respect that suggest that the split from their wolf ancestors took place between 27,000 years and 40,000 years ago. Now the question arises, why do we call a dog a dog? That is also a question. Now you see, this is really interesting to know about. Already I told you, the dogs are the domesticated mammals. And mind it well, they are not the natural wild animals since they are domesticated. They were originally bred from the wolves, and they have been bred by humans for a long time, and were the first animals ever to be domesticated by the human beings. And that's why, if you refer to the Latin language, in Latin, dogs are called canines. C-A-N-I-N-E-S. The meaning of this word in English is, this canis is equivalent to dog here in English. Because Canis lupus familiaris, this is the term which is found over there in Latin language. Then coming down to the different breeds of dogs, and that to the smartest dog ever in the world, then I'm tempted to mention a few names over here. Probably you might not have even heard these names, but you have Border Collie, Golden Retriever, Doberman Pinscher, Shetland Sheepdog, Australian Cattle Dog. These are some of the very smartest dogs which are found on the surface of the earth. Now you see, there are a few breeds of dogs which are very famous among the human beings, like German Shepherd, you have Bulldog, Labrador, Poodle, Golden Retriever, so on and so on. And now coming down to the last point in this respect that I would like to discuss is, what are the Indian breeds, famous Indian breeds, or the breeds of dogs? Then you have Rajapalayam dog, Mudhol dog, which is found very near to our place on the way to Hyderabad, Kombai dogs, Canny dogs, Indian Spitz, Indian Pariha dogs. These are some of the very famous breeds of dogs, especially in India. So now I feel that your curiosity to know about this dog, which is described by Rabindranath Tagore in this poem, is definitely aroused. Now let us come back to the text, in which you will learn something very interesting about this domesticated animal. And here, the poet has given a title to this poem as This Dog. But before I proceed with the text, I would like to make it very clear that there is a difference between my dog and this dog. When I say my dog, it means the dog is particularly maintained and domesticated by me, and that is my pet animal. But when I say this dog with a demonstrative pronoun, as you know, this, that, these, those, these are the demonstratives in English. And when I use the term like this dog, that means the dog is a stray dog, and that is not at all a domesticated animal, and nobody is very particularly allowing it to live around one's house or within the house. So that is the difference between when I say my dog and this dog. But anyway, let us get into the text, and I'm damn sure that you will definitely enjoy this text as well. So the poem begins like this: every morning this dog, very attached to me, quietly keeps sitting near my seat, till touching its head I recognize its company. See the beauty of the words which are used by the poet. I really admire Rabindranath Tagore for his writing skills. He is very simple and lucid while giving any description. And now, in this poem, he is giving us the description of his routine life. Whatever activities he is doing almost on the everyday basis. While giving the introduction, I told you that the last 2 to 3 years or so, he spent over there in the campus of Shantiniketan. That was the abode of peace for him. And even today, that is the abode of knowledge, education, and pedagogy for all of us. So the last few years he spent over there, and every day in the morning, he used to come to the veranda of his cottage and sits over there in the morning. Generally, he used to have his breakfast, coffee, tea, whatever beverage he could over there in the veranda. And then what happens in the course of time? A stray dog that started coming over there and loiter around Tagore. And then you could see over here, right in the beginning of the poem, the poet has mentioned that every morning this dog, again mind it well, not my dog, and this dog is also not, assigned with any name. It means it is surely a stray dog. So every morning this dog very attached to me. So in the course of time, since the dog used to come and sit near Rabindranath Tagore almost every day, so they have developed a kind of relationship. There was an attachment, and that attachment is also described over here by the poet. Poet says, unless I touch the head of the dog and recognize its company, the dog won't give any positive gesture. It means that the poet, that is Rabindranath Tagore, usually touches the dog, and as soon as it happens, it becomes very happy. And of course, the speaker has also given a sort of recognition to the dog for its great company. And that was how, in the course of time, the dog and the poet really developed a relationship and an attachment for each other. And this is how the poet has called it, that both were giving a great company to each other. Then in the subsequent expression, the couple of lines, the poet says, this recognition gives it so much joy, pure delight ripples through its entire body. See, if at all you happen to see the person whom you admire and like very much, automatically your facial gesture changes. Same thing happened in the case of this dog also. Whenever this dog used to come in the morning and sit beside the poet also recognizes its company, touches its head, and as soon as it happens, the dog feels very happy because his presence is being recognized by his master. His presence is being recognized by the poet, and that recognition gives the dog so much of joy and pleasure, and that reflects on all the organs of the dog. It means the body language of the dog changes. That delight you can easily notice in the forms of the waves that spreads or that spread on its entire body. So that can be noticed because the body language of the dog immediately changes as soon as the poet recognizes its company, touches its head, and of course, that particular move by the poet totally changes the body language of the dog. So that is how the poet has very effectively communicated some of the features of this domesticated animal. In the subsequent expression, Rabindranath Tagore says, among all dumb creatures, it is the only living being that has seen the whole man beyond what is good or bad in him. See now, these 4 lines are conveying a lot. But before I summarize these 4 lines, I would like to tell you one thing that we always say. We find so many creatures around. We find so many animals around. Some are the domestic animals. A few are the pet animals. And some other animals also we find around our existence. The animals like cows, buffaloes, you have dogs, horses, donkeys, pigs, you have different types of birds, right? We call them dumb creatures. We call them mute animals. But the question is, are they really dumb and mute? Probably, we cannot understand their language, but they do have their own language. Probably you might have noticed sometimes, if at all a sparrow sitting over there in the branches of a tree notices that there is a serpent or a snake on the ground, and the nest of the sparrow is somewhere there on the same tree, the sparrow starts chirping, and immediately a number of sparrows will gather over there and they will start making commotion. Is it not a communication done by one sparrow, successfully done with others? All are coming down, making a commotion in the form of their chirping sounds. Similarly, you might have seen in the case of domesticated pet animal like dog also. If at all a stranger, maybe a thief or a robber, intrude into your premises during the night time and noticed by your pet dog, it starts barking in a typical way. So that gives a signal to the master that passes on the message to the other nearby dogs, and in a very short period of time, hardly in a minute or so, you will find that a number of dogs starts barking, or a number of dogs start barking all around, and there will be a typical again commotion created by them. Then how can you say that they are the dumb and mute animals? Yes, they do have their own language. As I'm creating sounds acceptable to international phonetic alphabets and standards of Indian English, British English, and so on, the kind of sounds that I'm creating or producing through my phonetary system, you do know English, that's why you are in a position to understand me, whatever I communicate with you all. So I'm producing sounds. Likewise, other creatures also produce sounds, and they do communicate among themselves. Okay, they may have their own limitations, because as we people could learn number of languages and could communicate with number of people around in different languages, probably such kind of variety may not be possible with other creatures. And that's why human beings are called the best ever product of this universe, right? So now one thing is clear, that we may call them mute animals, we may call them dumb animals, but they have their own sound pattern and they are successfully, maybe in certain limits, communicate with one another, each other. So let us proceed now with the text. Among all dumb creatures, it is the only living being that has seen the whole man beyond what is good or bad in him. You know, who is the closest of all the domesticated animals? I think it is the dog. If at all you have a pet dog, or those who maintain, certain type of dog as a pet dog at home, probably they may know more about it. The poet says, the dog is such a loyal animal living around human beings for the last many millenniums. So that has really understood the temperament, disposition, mood, what is good and what is bad there in a human being. Probably there is no other animal in the world that can really understand human beings better. And similarly, you need to remember one thing, that the dog is such an animal that has minutely observed, the whole of man beyond man's good or bad qualities. And one more thing you need to understand, that the dog loves its master very much and is already known all over the world for its loyalty and commitment. And this is how is the association of man with the domesticated animal like dog. Now you see how the poet describes further. It has seen for his love, it can sacrifice its life. It can love him too for the sake of love alone. For it is he who shows the way to the vast world pulsating with life. See how effectively and beautifully Rabindranath Tagore has described the qualities of a dog. Already I mentioned, the dogs are known for their commitment to the master, devotion to the master, and sacrifices. And that's why we always find that the pet animal like dog loves its master very much. And if at all you love the dog, you will get same in return. It has no other feeling at all other than love and loyalty. The quality of loyalty is a unique feature of dogs. And here you need to admire that by its commitment, dedication, devotion, and the quality of dog, the world has really realized that the most useful domesticated animal is not any other animal but the dog only. And that's why the access given to the dog and access given to other animals, you can make a difference over there. The poet also mentions that the dog has a deep devotion and commitment for its master, and if at all required, it can sacrifice its life for the sake of the master. Here, when I happen to mention master, master in the sense, the person who is looking after the dog, the person who is maintaining the dog, the person who loves the dog, and that's why he is maintaining and providing all requirements to the dog. In that particular sense, I am using the word master. Right? So I don't want to talk about this master-slave kind of thing. So here, one thing is very clear, that the dog has deep devotion for its master, for its owner, and if at all required, it can sacrifice its life for his owner or the master. And the whole of the life, you will find that the dog remained to be faithful unconditionally. I'm using a word, unconditionally. And this is the inborn quality that is found among all types of dogs. And this is how the poet is going to mention this one here, when he says that for it is he who shows the way to the vast world pulsating with life. When I see its deep devotion, the offer of its whole being, I fail to understand by its sheer instinct what truth it has discovered in man. See the effectivity of words used by the poet. The poet says, the whole of the life, a dog remains faithful to its owner, to its master, that too unconditionally, and the dog acts purely by its instinct, that is the inborn quality, that is presented over here in this poem by the poet. Actually, if you minutely observe, a dog can understand the feeling. The dog can understand your language. The dog can understand if at all you motivate it. The dog understands the human beings much, much better than others. We say that the dog cannot communicate, but we fail to understand the dog, Dog can definitely communicate. It communicates by the means of creating sounds. It communicates by some optical contacts. It communicates with the help of, different gestures. It communicates by the means of its body language. By different means, dog also do communicate, but we fail to understand. And that's why we call them the mute animals, dumb animals. But if at all you really see the kind of relationship between the dog and the human beings, you will find that there is a kind of mutual understanding and a kind of reliability. And that leads to loyalty, commitment, and sacrifice. And that's why this relationship is developed in the course of time. And the poet has very effectively talked about this relationship that has really elevated the human beings to a higher level, that the animal like dog that belongs to the, genetically that belongs to the wolf's category, starts showing belief in the human beings. And this relationship is something really extraordinary. So here I would like to put a pause, and in the next class I will continue with the leftover part of the poem. Thank you very much.